Hello, welcome. My name's Kalel, and it's another movie review. Today we're going to be doing a movie review of X-Men Days of Futures Past. It was directed by Bryan Singer. Welcome back. He directed the first two X-Men movies. This movie was an original adaptation in 1980 called Days of Futures Past from the Uncanny X-Men series made by Marvel Comics. A little bit different in the Marvel comic. It wasn't actually Logan who went back, and it wasn't as early as the movie puts it off. It was only a couple of years to the first time that Senator Kelly was killed by Mystique. It wasn't Bolivar Trask. Um, it wasn't that. Kitty basically somebody sends her back in her into her younger body, and she stops Mystique. So that's neither here nor there. That's just giving you a little oversight on where the movie adaptation came from. They didn't just think this one out of the box, although it wasn't as similar to the comics as you would think. Um, Everybody from all of the X-Men movies were in it, except for people in the X-Men Origins movie. It really touched on every single one of the movies except for that movie, and no holds bar. That's fine. I don't think not one comic fan actually liked that movie. And if you like that movie, you're probably not a comic fan. But I mean, that's just my opinion. Um, this movie had a lot of jumping forward and backward into present and future, or not present. I guess their present, as you would call it, and the past. Starts out with modern day an apocalypse that's going on where Sentinels control the world and mutants are basically put into internment camps. Uh, they're marked with M's across their forehead, kind of like a modern day version of a Holocaust, I guess you would call it. There's only a couple bands of mutants left. Um, One of them is Warpath, Sunspot, um, all the basically all the original X Men, except for Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Obviously, it's still going off of the fact that they died in X Men 3. Um, but yeah, it has the general cast. It doesn't have Paquin in it. Um, well, in this future, let's just put it that way. Not put spoilers. I'm just saying she's not in this future. So they're tasked to basically go back in time using Kitty's powers. She can also be. She can basically take people's minds and put them a couple of weeks back or a couple minutes back. But for this jump to go back to a point in time where it changed everything, which they touched on that within the first couple of minutes of the movie, which was back in 1973. Mystique basically found Bolivar Trask and killed him because of the experiments that he was doing on mutants to basically further his Trask prototype, his Trask Sentinel program. Um, so she kills him, and then she gets captured and she gets experimented on. Well, from that point, the Sentinels become uh, they adapt to every environment, and so that's why they were able to beat the mutants. Because anytime, like let's say, a Sunspot puts in, you know, fire all over the Sentinel. The Sentinel can adapt and then turn that against him. Or if there's a group of them, they can use. Okay, let's say Iceman is fighting off a Sentinel and freezing him. Well, if they're synced and Sunspot's fighting one and Iceman's fighting the other one, they can switch the type of attacks that people are attacking. Whereas Iceman's attacking, he basically that Sentinel is now basically engulfed in flames because now they're adapting, they're sync adapting. So one's using, it's kind of like they're helping each other out. by saying, "Look, I'm getting attacked by this, and you're getting attacked by that. How about we switch up the uh, to adapt to this?" Um, I babbled on way too long about that. But yeah, I mean, the whole process is trying to get to her to stop her from doing this, and that's the hard part because they can't find her and they're trying. But Professor Xavier, the young version, played by James McAvoy, is now a junkie, so to speak, because he is now taking a serum which stops his powers but gives him the use of his legs because he just can't handle voices in his head. He can't handle not being able to walk because of the events that happened in X-Men First Class and because of Vietnam and the draft. It took all the students, so he basically went into depression with Hank McCoy there to basically be his caretaker. Which that's a little upsetting that Hank McCoy Beast is his caretaker, but he's young and he's very, I guess, um, I don't know. That I wouldn't do it. But anyways, so Logan's sent back because he's the only one that can handle the trip because anybody else it would rip their brain apart. So, he can basically heal as fast as he can be ripped apart, quoted in the movie. So he's sent back and he knows everything that has went on in the future. So his memory wasn't erased, basically, go back here. He knows everything. So that's the hard part. Is like trying to get these guys to do what he wants them to do, knowing the outcome of what's going to happen if said action happens by Bolivar Trask being shot by Mystique, which Jennifer Lawrence's version of Mystique was spot on. Do not I don't dislike it at all. I think she played her heart out in that role. I don't see her as like, oh, she's not Mystique. The girl that played her, back in the first two movies, that's Mystique. No, she played her heart out in this movie, and I give her kudos uh, for doing the role. Um, so the whole movie is based off of trying to get her. She has more attention in this movie than I think she's had in past movies. I think it brought a little bit of light to her in X Men First Class, but it didn't fully bring her out and be like, hey, this is what the movie's about. It's about her and her decision to do this. So it was a good shedding light on her situation and putting her out in the front instead of Scott Summers or Jean Grey or Sabretooth or Magneto, which Magneto was in there and he was a prominent person in the movie, but as far as like I think she was equal along with their characters. So um, it just unfolds really beautifully. I'll say that word. It really did. Um, and it had, it went flash forward to uh, the future and stuff that was going on while he was asleep, going through this whole journey back in the past while she was still concentrating on keeping him in the past, his brain in the past. So basically, just gave you like this is what's going on in the future, um, and it can't really be stopped unless she stops, wanting to kill Bulba Trask or this and that happens. So I mean, at the end of the day, I give this movie probably 8 out of 10. It's one of my all-time favorite top 10 Marvel movies. Um, it was just it was really good, and I'm not just saying that because it's new and it's a Marvel movie or it's X Men. I'm saying that because everything that happened in the movie worked. So you can't really deny when something works. It explains itself throughout the movie. It's not just like this happens for no reason. No, everything is explained why it's happening. It explains why Magneto is, you know, at 20 or 30 floors below the Pentagon. It explains why um, Professor Xavier is, a drunken junkie mess. It explains why um, all these people are affected by different issues. It goes into it, not as much as it could because it's a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, I believe, but it did good for the time it was given. So if you like it or if you have a comment about it, comment in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And I will see you next week for another review of movies. As always, this is Cal, and I will see you next week.